All right. Hey, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachak Wadash, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and as well as the men that taught them, and peace and blessings unto all you Akim out there who pushing his word with all truth and sincerity, and as well as to all you believers out there who believe in the gospel. And it's the brother Quara Abad from the GMS Houston camp. And I want to go into another lesson. Something I was, been meditating on lately, but something I was, it came across my mind again last night as I was, going through social media, and I explained in a few. But, I want to say Salaki ahead of time. I'm on a little walk and talk right now, trying to get me a little workout in before the sun come up. So if there's any background noise by any passing calls, Salaki in advance. But what I want to touch on is it's just an opinion. You see, it's just my opinion. And I say this with all humility, because it may be some brothers who may do this, it may be some brothers who don't do it, And what I mean by do this is that one thing I was thinking about, and I felt like this for a while. I've been feeling like this for a while, even like before the truth, and it's that a man, right, when men leave the house, and again, it's just my opinion, I'm not saying this to offend any brother who may do it, or rub any brother the wrong way, I'm not a, apostle, I'm not a bishop or elder, to give decrees or demands. Again, it's just an opinion, you see. But the thing is that when men leave the house, it's not a wise thing to, leave the house and go about your day in flip-flops, or Crocs, things like Crocs, sandals, whatever it may be, open-toed and open-heel shoes, or slippers, slippers. That's what it is, because it's not shoes. It's a form of footwear, but it's not technicality, it wouldn't be a shoe, right? So a slipper, you wear a slipper flip-flop outside, and the reason being, so much could happen throughout your day, you see, as a man, Now, one may say, well, in the time of the Lord, they wore sandals, right? They wore things of that such, and that's true. But we not in those times either. We in different times. And more specifically, even the Lord himself said, we're in a time like never before. And the thing is that within our day, especially now, we don't know what can befall us as men, you see? And two, I don't plan on being long with this lesson. I just want to get straight to the point, Lord willing, but I'm just kind of getting a few thoughts off before I get these precepts. And two, I say this, if that's all you have, if you don't have shoes, all you have is flip-flops or Crocs, then they so be it. I just try to say, if you can, then invest in shoes, even at camp, that's a for sure thing. Brothers shouldn't be at camp. Now, I would say that's a for sure thing. I'm sure, the higher up, the elders, apostles, apostles, elders would agree on that. Brothers shouldn't definitely come to camp in flip-flops if you, on either side, if you listen or if you prophesy, but I'm more specifically speaking about like brothers' day-to-day lives, and again, why would it be? I'm sure brother, like, why then? What if I'm just going to the corner store? I mean, that's cool if you don't it's just an opinion, but the reason being is because we're in different times, different times, and again, many things can happen within a day. I seen a video the other day, and I think this would confirm my spirit to want to go ahead and do this lesson, because it was a guy hopped out of a car, and road rage. He hopped out in flip-flops. The other guy hopped out. They got in an altercation. The dudes who had the shoes on started punching, and the dude in the flip-flops started falling out of shit, got knocked out, trying to slide his feet back in. I'm like, oh man, see, this confirmed what I always felt. Matter of fact, let me get the first precept, because I don't just want to ramble. Let me get this first. And I just get some examples on why we shouldn't, leave the house, with such items on. But let me get this first. This is 1 Corinthians 7 and verse 6. And I'm going to read this in a contemporary English version. It's Apostle Paul. Now, at times, Apostle Paul gave a lot of advice, or his opinion. And this is what he was doing right here. Now, he was talking to the church about marriage, in different ways to have a healthy marriage. And this is what he's going to say. 1 Corinthians 7 and verse 6 in a contemporary English version. This is what he says. In my opinion, that is what should be done. Though I don't know of anything the Lord said about this matter. In other words, he was just giving his opinion on situations that brothers had questions about. He said the Lord ain't say nothing about it. In other words, it's not a law. It's not a commandment. I'm just giving advice. It's not a commandment at all. You see? But it's just advice on why it would be a wise decision in these times. Now think about it. Going back to it, as a man, and especially in the time approaching Jacob's trouble, look at all of what's happening in the world, right? You got these Edomites trying to, build themselves up to retaliate, against I would say Jake, but the world. You got civil war pretty much brewing in America. You got people losing their mind, and what if you get in traffic or in the store, cut them off, make them, now it's an altercation. You see it, now we got the wisdom to get ourselves out of situations, that other people might not have the wherewithal to, get out. But the thing is, we don't know what the Lord might have befall us. What if you out with your family one day, and a crazy man come up and you got to defend your wife and children, and you out there in flip-flops, flip-flops and whatever, a robber, and you trying to defend a Jesus Crocs, Jesus slippers, Or if you have to run somewhere, what if you in a store and there's an active shooter situation? Who knows, man? We're in times to where anything can happen. We need to be ready at all times. Now, man can say, well, I serve the Lord, so the Lord can save me in flip-flops and shoes. That's true. So just wear flip-flops if you want to. No problem. But it would be wise in these times to, again, be prepared to run. Be prepared to fight. Be prepared to defend yourself. Be prepared to do whatever, man. And again, like Jake today. Jake be outside on the block selling drugs, beefing with niggas, sagging their pants to their knees with flip-flops on the block, thinking you about to run from an op. Thinking he about to run, flip-flop flying off. Oh yeah. And look, even if you got Crocs and say, well, what if I put them in sport mode? If somebody not knows, sport mode is when, your Croc, you just slip it in and you put the back latch, back there by your Achilles tendon, you put that down. So now it turned into, a hybrid shoe. Well, if anybody feel comfortable in the world with their Crocs on in sport mode, then so be it. This is just an opinion, just an opinion. But let me get this real quick. And again, I don't intend on this to be long. It was just a thought. And Lord willing, when I do the video, I can even put maybe videos of men getting into altercations in sandals, flip-flops, and it don't go well, because that's another thing you have to worry about now, which again, this is not a big deal. It's a small deal. But it would be wise to do, especially as a man moving in this world, man. Or what if you just out there and, the thong slippers, the thong flip-flops, and all hell break loose. Now you in Jacob's trouble with the thong flip-flops on. You see? Let me get this any matter. Again, it's not a big deal. I don't want to make it a big deal, but it is a deal. This Sirach 5 and 15. It says, be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or a small. So this is a small matter, but the scripture says don't be ignorant of anything, whether it's a big deal or it's insignificant. It don't really matter like that. It's just an opinion. But still, it's good to have understanding and knowledge of these simple things, of these simple things, man. And that's even a part of being in the body. You know, getting advice is such. The apostles, I know the apostles Tahar, the apostle Gabal, the apostle Ramlab, the apostle Rachah, the bishops, you know, they always give advice throughout their lessons on how brothers should live better lives and healthy and so on and so forth. So this is just kind of one of those things. Again, brothers don't have to. It's just an opinion. You know, like I was saying, I remember it was about 2 years ago, traveled to another state, you know, visit some brothers. I ain't gonna say the state camp name or even the brother name. I'm sure if the brother see this video, he'll remember that situation or that conversation, you know. But I was out there, you know, with them brothers, and we moving around, you know, around the city, and I noticed that just you know, say it was about 8 brothers with us. I noticed a good 5 or 6 had flip-flops on, right? And again, it wasn't a big deal, it was just something that I noticed, right? But I noticed a good 5 or 6 brothers had flip-flops on, and even at the time, you know, think about it. One of the cities, you know, is one of the most dangerous cities in America. You know, so as we riding, and me and a brother who I was with, you know, once we was by ourselves in the car, I kind of asked him, I'm like, hey, bro, like, why y'all, you know, go everywhere with slippers and flip-flops on? And he was like, shit, that's just how we move, bro. And I was like, shit, I never could do that. I was like, you don't know what could happen to you throughout your day. I was like, what if you got to run? What if you know, what if you don't know what could happen, bro? And I remember it was a respectful conversation. You know, the brother, he didn't get offended. You know, he understood. But you know, it's kind of like, shit, that's just the thing we do, you know. But the thing is things like that could separate us from the people of this world. Just small things, you know, small things. And now, again, going back to, that's the benefit of a body. Because I'm sure it may be things that I do that brothers don't like, or things that I do that brothers see is not wise. And I will hope, and they do, you know, warn me. So that's benefits of being a part of the body, to little things like this. Let me get this again, and I'll get one more and I'll end it. I'm going to get Ephesians 5 about being wise in these times. But let me read this again. Sirach 5:15. It says, be not ignorant of anything, in a great matter or a small. And though it's a small matter, it's a beneficial one, you know, Lord willing. But let's get this, Ephesians 5. I'm going to start at 14. I like starting at 14. Ephesians 5:14, it says, wherefore he saith, awake, thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead, and Mashiach shall give thee light. And I like to start there because he said, awake from the dead, get out of this captive mind state, right out of not knowing nothing, you know, and come into this truth. And come into the truth. So the thing is, now that we have come out of this world and into the truth, now what? We should move different from how we moved in the world. Remember, in the world, it was cool to go everywhere and you know, in certain things or do certain things. But now that we have the truth, we got to move a little different. So it says, Ephesians 5:14, wherefore he saith, awake, thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead, and Mashiach shall give thee light. So it says, see then. So now that we have the light, see then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. You see that? So it says, now that we have truth, now that we have light, it says, see then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. Now we have to, with truth, move around a little different than the people of the world. Make decisions, even if it is what shoe or what footwear I'm gonna wear when I leave the house today, you know, just to be ready at all times. You see? Just to be ready at all times. Again, I'm just speaking as a man, but I can't see myself, especially if I'm with my family, me, my wife, my children, you know, and I go out and we go out somewhere, have a family day, and I'm in flip. I cannot see that. I'm in flip-flops. No, man, no way, no how. I can't see it, because what if anything happened? I would be at a disadvantage in defending my family or whatever it may be, man. Or if not at disadvantage, moving a little slower. You see? Now, some brothers may kick their shoes off and, hey, you good, right? But the majority of us, it'll be better we had our shoes, you know, the tied, whatever. I'm just making jokes. Let me get straight to it. I'm going to end it. But it's Ephesians 5:15. See then that you walk circumspect, fully paying attention to our surroundings. Circum around, fully around, right? 360. Inspect is to see. We got to fully pay attention to our surroundings. You know? It said how much more, so like trucks, cars passing, forgive me. How much more in these unprecedented times that we in? Things can happen at an instant. But it says, redeeming the time because the days are evil, man. So there's a lot of evil that can happen, and we don't want to get caught out there, you know, lacking. Like Jake's lacking, right? But I'm going to end it right there. Again, like I said, this was just an opinion. And like Apostle Paul said, not a commandment. The Lord ain't say nothing about it. You know, but I'm going to leave it right there. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise to Yahweh. Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem Rachak Wadash. And with that, Shalom.